Today I'm going to talk about component-based design and development. It's my first English talk, so sorry if I create some words in the way. So I'm Cristina Chumillas. You can find me on Twitter like Chumillas, or on Drupal.org, or on IRC like Cristina. I'm designer and front-end developer at Timbro, a Drupal shop in Barcelona. I come from the graphic design world. I studied graphic design, not computer science or whatever. So I discovered Drupal because I became freelance. I needed to create websites, and that's how I learned everything by myself. So now I'm also front-end developer. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about components, what they are, how can they help. We are going to talk about also CSS methodologies, how that CSS methodologies help for components, and how design systems are related to that and can also help, and also style guides, how the traditional style guides, what are now and what can they give to us, and also how can we implement some of that things in Drupal. But first, we're going to talk about. I'm going to do a little bit of retrospective of web projects and what kind of things we are doing now that not necessarily are correct. For example, we have two ways to do a project, like a waterfall or agile. In a waterfall project, you always have first a plan. When you've planned everything, the client had said what he wants, you jump to the design. When the designer has finished, you have the OK from everybody, you jump to the development. Not before that. You always need the OK. After that, you jump to the theming. When everything is finished, then comes a tester, and finally you deploy. So before jumping to the next step, you have finished. You have all the previous work has to be finished. On Agile, it's different than that, because we decide with the client which are the features we are going to do in the project, and the client, the customer, is able to decide which one of them are most important, and which one of them should go to the beginning. So in each sprint, you develop some of that features. So before jumping to the other sprint, you finish that one, and maybe some features that will come at the end of one of the last sprints, it's still not designed. So everything has to be more agile, even design, even the planning, even whatever, it's different. Another thing that it's not correct every time in a project is that we think that our website project finishes when it's deployed, and that's not like that, because there will be someone after us, or maybe even ourselves, going during the the lifetime of the project, being there trying to fix things or whatever. So if we have done a mess, it will be there forever until it's changed. Another thing that we are doing nowadays, or at least in a lot of places, is fixed deliverables. We give to the client a Photoshop, a PDF, something that it's not responsive, that it doesn't have interactions. It's not the real web that they will have at the end. So they can't imagine a lot of things that at the end it will be in their website. So there are a lot of troubles. The thing is that, are we sure that the client wants a Photoshop, or it's just that they are used to that? So the thing is that we can change it. So how can we improve it? How can we change some of that things? With components. For example, that's a component. That's an independent entity that has its own meaning. It can be moved to one place to another, but it has its own meaning. It's made from different elements, for example, title, and in this case, events, read more button. It's part of the web component, but it will be always together. It has to be moved always together. For example, if we see the HTML of that, we see that the agenda will be the component itself, and then we have the agenda title, agenda content, and the agenda read more. Those are elements from that component, that block, that big thing that can be moved from one place to another. So, for example, we can have in the sidebar, in the bottom of the content type, it depends. In the home, we can move it. And that's the key of the thing. See, having elements that you can move. Then, to do it, there is the base thing. Is creating them in a way that they can be reusable. And CSS methodologies can help a lot with that. For example, BEM, SMAX, object-oriented CSS, those are methodologies that try to get response and to plan scalable and maintainable front-end code to be able to use in big projects and not repeat a lot of the things. For example, BEM, I don't know if you already know it. It's a naming convention that what it tries is to abstract the name that you are doing to the things. For example, you're going to say to something the search, not the green search, for example. Here, BEM is a block element modifier. Okay, you have first always the block. Block will be site search, for example. The element will be the title, for example. It will be site search title or site search read more button, for example. And then you have the modifier. If it will be, for example, full, if it will be big, if it will be small, if it will be right, if it will be the section in it where it can be. So that way we have a convention that everybody in the team can use. So you can share a lot of things with different profiles. For example, it could be there's an example with a wrapper, for example. Not only things that are inside the component are the component itself, are elements. For example, the wrapper, if it's related and it always goes with the component itself, it's also part of the component. Here we have, for example, it's really easy to applicate it to any project because here we have big, and once we are ready, all the team knows how this works. It's really easy. The good thing on that is that we don't have to do a block.title, and that's good for performance also in our browsers because the DOM will go first to the class. It's really faster, and it's really good for performance. Also, we have SMAX. SMAX is not so much a naming convention. It's more a way to order our CSRs or folders inside our theme. It separates everything in base, layout, modules. In this case, modules are like components. States like hover or active or whatever, and the theme. For example, if in a university you have the science part and it will be blue, and there you will have another part that will be yellow. Then everything can go here. If everybody follows that, it will be easier to know where's everything and to share the code. Here is, for example, you have the base for all the normalize or whatever, the bootstrap. It will be the basic things to have around all all the CSS. Then you have the layouts, the module, and it will be the components itself. And of course, you have the action, if something is active, for example, and also you will have the theme. How can the design systems can help on that? Design systems are all the range in the design world. I don't know if you, for example, are on Pinterest or wherever, what any other graphic design wall or web design wall, or Drupal, for example. There are a lot of UI components, UI groups where there's a system of elements, and they're really all of the range. Here's what are design systems? Design systems are everything that makes up your product. It means everything. It can be both typography, layouts, colors, and icons, for example. Of course, components, but also coding conventions. Everything that it will be part of the front-end wall, it will be part of design system. If you have to remember one slide of that talk, is that one. We are not designing pages. We are designing systems of components, and that's a key. That's the key of that thing. We are so used to design pages. I designed the home. I designed the services page. I designed the contact page. And I designed page, and Photoshop page for that page, Photoshop for that other. And that's what we should change to have proper design system. That's the idea. For example, Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a design system. It's already done. And you, for example, have buttons, pages. Of course, you have layouts, and you have a lot of things. That's a design system. Here you have another one. There's a lot of pieces that have the same titles, have the same typography, same colors. That's a design systems. And why are design systems so good or not so good? They're not the answer for everything, but they can help a lot. But why? The thing is that we are going to reuse work. We are going to reuse companies, reuse the things so at the end we are going to be more efficient. So projects will be faster because we are going to reuse a lot of code. It will let us be able to have large scale code. You won't have 50 CSS files with 1,000 lines of code repeating the same, and because for a large project it's impossible. Another thing amazing on that is everybody knows how everything works. Backenders, frontends, designers, everybody knows the same, so everybody uses the same. So when you enter a new project, you already know how it will work, so you don't have a shock. You don't have that moment, okay, I have a ticket, I have 1 hour to do everything, and I go to that project and I don't know where is everything. That's a great improvement. And also, it integrates multidisciplinary workflow. What I was saying, backenders, frontends, we are all speaking the same language. Then it's easier. Car design is a way of like a system that appeared some years ago. And here is when I had my aha moment. It was like, that's how it should work. Car system is nothing else than cards. Cards where you have your title, you have your DrupalCamp. That's not hidden, it's here. You already know that there's a DrupalCamp in Barcelona. Okay, you have the title, you have the content, for example, images, videos, you can have whatever, and it's moved from one place to another. Card system is also used on mobile apps and other places. It's not only web design, but it was a moment when I said, okay, that has a lot of sense. Why we are doing everything in Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever. And after that, I discovered atomic design. Atomic design, I think it's one step after that. It's a methodology for creating design systems itself. The first time it was mentioned anywhere, it was Brad Frost. He's a really important person in front-end design, in front-end world. If you want to follow someone in front-end, he's the guy. He said that you have atoms, for example, a level, then you mix it with another part, and you create molecules. After that, you create organisms that can move alone on your page. After that, you have templates, and then you jump to pages. But pages are not the main thing. You have atoms that are the smaller and the important ones. For example, it will be an atom. It's really easy to understand. Then you have a field. You have here a molecule. And then you group that. You have an organism. And then you go up. And finally, you have a page. But here you have atoms. It's really easy to understand. The thing is when we should introduce it. In what part of our projects should we introduce that design systems and that way of thinking? I would say from the beginning that's easy. Not everybody is able to do that, but if we have a change, it will be on wireframes for sure. Because, for example, we have static wireframes or HTML wireframes that it will be the best things. On static wireframes, we have abstractions. They are abstractions. They are not the real thing, because having a wireframe is like having a Photoshop for explaining a website. If you print it, it's the same as if you put in a website and nobody can click it. It's like something drawn. It's an abstraction. It's not a website itself. They are full of assumptions. The typical thing that, okay, you have a menu here. The client says, okay, we have a menu here. And suddenly when you have the web not deployed, but on the final steps, he says, where's the menu? Here, you have the menu. No, I mean the second menu that opens when you hover here. Have you ever seen it in the wireframes or in the designs? No. But there are a lot of assumptions if you don't have an interaction there. Of course, they are verbose. Have you ever seen that typical PDF with a lot of designs and a lot of annotations next to it? I've even seen sometimes in a deliverable that it said, okay, that button that it's here, that it just likes like going to the previous page. The previous page was the last page you have seen. If it was Facebook, it was Facebook, and it was in the wireframes, said in the annotations next to it. The designer decided that it had to be a button doing something that it can be done, well, not easily done. So they are not something real, so you can have a lot of troubles with that. And they are crunch. They are not a completely website, so you will have trouble with wireframes for sure. HTML wireframes on the other side. The thing with that is that they get to the browser really quicker. They reinforce the notion that you are creating a website because you are in a website. Of course, they are interactive, and that's something important because have you ever seen a client trying to click in a PDF? And no, it's just a design. So then you have these troubles also. Of course, they allow a lot of leaving and everything annotations. There are a lot of tools that let you do that. And the good part on that is that they lay the foundation of the final product. You can build the design over that, and that's a good thing. Excuse me. Another step where we could introduce that design systems will be in the design moment. There's something that's also really, even in last DrupalCon in Amsterdam was a training for that. It's starting right these last years. It's designing in the browser. Designing in the browser doesn't mean having a white page in HTML and starting there. It means that you have, you take your decisions in the browser. If you create something that is responsive, you will go to the browser and see there if in mobile is good enough. And if you have to move anything, you will decide in the browser if you have to move it, not in the Photoshop, because it's completely different. And also, of course, there is a lot of reusable work that you can move through to one part to another part. So that's a big change also on that. Also, we have style guides. I was talking about that. Style guides they are not new. It's something that it's been with web design from the beginning, especially in big projects. And what are style guides are, it visualizes your code and represents it as a UI component, and you can see it. It's a documentation of a design system. The design system that you create, it will be documented in style guides. For example, colors. You can put here all the colors that you have in your project, and you will know where you have to go to find all the possible products, colors you have. For example, typographies, wherever, layouts or whatever, you will always have a place where to go to know where's everything. Why should we use it? Because they improve the user experience. They make it better. If you have, for example, a button that after clicking it, a help button that when you click it, it starts a pop-up. He will expect that in the next place where he finds another help button, the behavior is exactly the same. And if it's related in if it is explained in the style guide, it will be easier to reuse it one way or another. Of course, it's easy to onboard new team members because they quickly can adopt the way you are working. Of course, it's efficient design and development because you can reuse a lot of work, and that's really important, makes the testing easier. Having a Photoshop file and the page you are developing next to it, it will be like 1 pixel more. No, a little bit more. No, just move. If you have that, you just apply the styles that are in the style guide, and it will be really easier, even for the tester to know if everything is wrong or if anything is wrong. Here we have the typical way of developing. We have wireframes. After the wireframes comes the design. Then after that, the development, and after that, the production. If we have some change, then we have to go back to designer. The designer has to know exactly what has to be changed. If it's already done, great. If it's something new, he has to design it again. Then after that goes to development, and after that goes to production again. Then style guides are here, HTML style guides appeared, and that's great. Let's make a change. Go to design again, go to development. The development team have to update the style guide, and then goes to production, and again. So the development team have to do twice the work. So style guides not updated are not the solution. So that's why Style Guide Driven Development, or ESDD, has appeared some years ago. And there are some big companies that are already using it, and that's really, it looks like really interesting because they are generated directly from the work you're doing. For example, if you're styling something, the styles will be updated and made directly in the style guide. Some examples that we have that we could use in the Drupal world will be the Drupal style guide module, for example. The only thing that does that module is that it creates a style guide page, and there are all the styles that his specs that you will have in your website. And of course, it gets the same CSS from your theme. So you can see there how everything is implemented. For example, if you are doing some kind of buttons, or for example, in a form, we are used to theme forms, specific forms, and we always forget the login form. And you will see how a basic form will be seen. Another thing that has been introduced some years ago is the KSS, Nile Style Sheets. If you want to know more about that, John Alvin did a great presentation in Los Angeles. You can find it in YouTube, and I really encourage you to see that presentation. That's really good. And on Drupal, you can find it in, well, you can implement it by your side, or you can find it in the next version of the Zen theme, the development version, not the actual version that is there. Also, you can use Pattern Lab. Pattern Lab is a tool that Brad Frost, the one that named Atomic Design, created with some other people, and it's specifically it's something that you install in your theme. You create a folder that's quite similar to KSS. KSS is more automated, and here you can test whatever you are theming. You can test also there. If you want more information about style guides or resources, you can go to styleguides.io. That's the main page where to find information, books, articles, talks, tools, and a lot of things. I don't have time to go through all the tools that there are able nowadays. And finally, we have how we can implement that in Drupal. Not only style guides, everything we've said, specifically components. How do we do it? We have two big ways to do it. We can just grab components because I think you already know the DVTs that Drupal have. And it's almost impossible to remove all the divs that are nested there. And you can try to grab components, or the other way is change the default markup. There's no perfect way. Usually it's something between them. What can we use to change that code and do it? You can use field formatter or hook alter, preprocess functions. If you are going to code, that are the ways. There are, for example, templates. There are a lot of ways of doing that. If you want to code, or if you want the backender doing that or coding that, you can try it. Another way, if you want to do it by yourself or the site builder, is using Display Suite. Display Suite gives us view modes where you can find, you can use it, for example, for having teasers and reusing it. If you reuse the code, and it's like in the style guide, everybody will know how to make the markup of that. If you have a style guide, the people that is going to create the output of the element you are creating, he will know how to do it, and he will use this. He can use Display Suite for doing it. Another great thing in Display Suite, I think that last one, that's important, and you cannot do anything without that. And that one is really important because you can change the output of the elements inside the components, and that's removing a lot of divs. For example, in that case, where it will be a title, it's really small, but what that's doing is removing all the divs, and it will only have the Act2 level and one class. Everything else will be removed, so that's great in Display Suite. If you don't know how is the tool, then ask me after that. Another way is with panels. Panels, the good thing on that is that you can just create your own custom panes. It's called content types inside panels. You can create components, you can create blocks, you can create, well, not necessarily views, but you can create a lot of things with custom panes. And I think it's a really powerful tool for having something for the customer where he can pick a block, pick a component, and move it around the page. Yeah, es la última. And also you can, through interface, you can create mini panels. Mini panels is just like a panel inside a panel. Inside the mini panel, you can put there a title or whatever you want in that component, and you can move it then inside in the panel, and you can just move it. And if you want to change the class or whatever, it will change the markup, or it will change the classes, and then it will everything you have decided in your CSS will be applied. And also you can use in panels, and it's really good, is context. Context can give you, for example, if you are in a section, if you are in a content type, it can change, for example, the color, depending on where you are. It can change the width, the weight, whatever, because you add a class, and then you have that context. And about Drupal, there are not too many things. There are a lot of small models, but the big ones that we are using for doing that are these ones. So that's all. That's the speak. That's not a really technical tag, because here the thing is having this aha moment. The most important thing is realizing that having designing pages is not the way. The way should do designing components. Once we realize about that, I think our projects will be really better. So that's it. Any question or whatever? It's really easy, but if anyone.
So in the template you have now the ability to create components with the template, because you can load a library from the template. But do you have any idea how this could be done in Book 7, really?
Like changing a template, or?
Usually, if you have a component in the book, like EDM was demoing how to create components there. But if you want to use the templates to create the components, then you want to pack up the CSS, and the template is the same folder, I guess. And then you want to load the library also from the template. So do you think it's easily possible to achieve in the book 7?
To create the components or to add libraries?
Yeah, I mean, to create a component. The first question is to create a component, so there's one folder containing everything, and then...
It depends on the component. For example, if it's a search button, you will have a search form, you will have some ways. If you want to create a block, if you want to create a view, it will depend on the source or the kind of component you're creating. I think Drupal 7 doesn't have a big way of doing things, a general way of doing it. It just has each module has its own way. In panels works in one way, views it's completely different. So the way of changing it it depends on, you have to know each component you are using. For example, views, you have also templates in views, you have a lot of things, but if you are changing a block, you don't have not so many things.
Actually, now if you have key functions.
Yeah, sure.
With the CSS files.
Yeah, I think functions. Yeah, that's the thing. The good thing on Drupal 8 is that you will have a lot of templates, and you can, as a front-end or not really back-end people, you can recognize easily where you can have to go to change anything. And if you are using a block or any other entity, you can change everything in the template, and in the template you can add a lot of classes depending on the way it is processed.
So. You do everything because you can include the library, you can include everything inside the template.
Yeah.
So everything will be in one place, and that's a component.
Yeah, that's great.
No.
Let's jump to Drupal 8. Any other question? No. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there are some of them. To remove it from the talk because I thought it was too long. Now I see that it wasn't. You can have both. I don't have the word in English. You can have both tools where you draw graphic tools. And you will, that when you are finished, you make an export to HTML. Then don't look at the HTML because it's a mess. And there are a lot of completely free tools, completely free packs of people that has started doing wireframes. And I don't exactly right now, I don't remember the name. I will put there in the slides when I upload it to the session page. That they are completely free and you can work on them. They already have a lot of components already designed, and you can just add it there. Just copy and paste, and you already have the page created. So it's really easy. It's really fast. Even the thing is that we usually are afraid of jumping to another technology, but creating HTML wireframes is not so much as we think. The problem is when the people that is planning the content is not doesn't know how HTML works, or is not doesn't feel comfortable with that. But if you can, do it with wireframes, HTML wireframes. Yeah. Okay.
So there's another question. It's just more of a comment. I recently did a project, like it was a really small site, but I did it with the wireframe. So we had like wireframe before, and then I started implementing it in Drupal. And the way we did it there, and that's why I really liked that we did it with the wireframe. So the wireframe was fully functional, so we could actually write EHAT tests for the wireframe.
Yeah.
So like the test would like go through and click through the wireframe and ensure that it works. And so when I was basically, what I would do is I would just take those same EHAT tests and point them to my Drupal site, and then I could just validate like how far I was along.
Yeah.
And that was like really awesome.
Yeah. That's the thing.
I wanted to do as a developer because I just had the test already, and the client already also could use the test to validate that basically his expectations were.
Yeah, it's like everybody. Yeah. That's amazing because that's everybody speaking the same language. Because, for example, what you were saying about Big Hat, it's great because you already have know what the classes and what HTML, so the Big Hat can search for not only the classes, also for the tags in the HTML, so it can find around through the page and finding that. As far as Big Hat is so easy to write for test people, for the testing team, can be really useful having a wireframe or the design in an HTML. And it makes everything easier for during the process. I mean, it maybe needs a lot of, a little bit more of time at the beginning, but at the end, all the steps are really faster then. Having that guide and that wireframes or design in HTML, everybody speaking the same language because we are doing websites. We are not using Photoshops. So that's completely different and a new step in the web world. Anyone else? Oh, well, thank you.